Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
I'm Ted.
And we had a question from DM Sagittarius about pantheons and how the gods interact with each other.
If you have a viewer suggestion or GM901, you can send those over to nerdarchy@gmail.com, or if it's a GM901, you could put it over on the GM901 specific section of our forum.
So here's the deal, right? That's the whole concept behind the pantheon, essentially, is gods and how they interact with each other. Like pretty much all of the pantheons have they have these common denominators throughout them. Most of the time, it's how the gods either interact with each other, how they get along or don't get along, their rivalries, their alliances, their areas of influence and dominion, and you know the hierarchy. There's usually a hierarchy, so that's what a pantheon is all about.
Right.
So I don't know if he's asking that, because
he wants to know how they interact. Do they interact? What does it mean? So,
or is it that he wants to know what about multiple pantheons?
I interpret it as he's got a pantheon, and yeah, he wants to know how it's dealt with in the world. I always feel that if you've got opposite sides, you know, I'm war, I'm peace. Well, those type of gods are going to either be at odds or at war. I mean, that's not a good I didn't choose a good split for fighting, you know. But when you've got gods that are the opposites, they're not going to be really buddy and friendly unless you have the type of pantheon where it's like, we are up here and it is solely those down there that make the decisions, and it's how many worshippers they have, how many temples that they have decides the power structure and who's winning. So,
well, I kind of disagree, because I feel like, you know, if you look at most pantheons, first of all, if you look at most pantheons, a lot of the gods are actually related.
Right.
You know, there's family ties. So, like, you know, they may not agree on everything, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have to be at odds with each other. Or sometimes it's just some things are necessary even though you don't agree with them.
That's true.
You know, like, you know, nature has a lot of different aspects to it. Some of them are tranquil and peaceful, and others are savage and brutal. And it's absolutely necessary. You know, like, I mean, unless we teach all the carnivores to just get along and be vegetarians. I know there's people out there that believe that way, but, you know, even though their bodies aren't designed to actually take in that kind of nutrition and they'll wither and die. But, you know, it's okay. You know, these are just aspects of life, and they're different, and they're necessary. You know, we could go back to the whole Lion King thing, right? The circle of life. But I also think DM Sagittarius really is asking too is about what about other pantheons, like multiple pantheons, and I feel like Forgotten Realms has a lot of that going on.
Okay.
Like they had this one big giant huge pantheon, and then it seems like they have a pantheon for each of the races as well, with their own gods for areas of concern. So and like those seem to like go side by side and not really interact as much, but you could have a world that does have multiple pantheons. You know, like what if you're playing okay, here's a perfect example. The real world, right? That's exactly what you had. You know, you know the Greeks had their pantheon, the Norse had theirs, and the Egyptians had theirs, and like I'm no historian, nor am I that smart. You know, so I don't know where everything falls time-wise, but I'm fairly certain there's a lot of overlap.
Yes, there's definitely some similarities. You know, if you look at the stories.
No, I don't mean similarities. I mean overlap in time periods of, you know, Egyptians worshiping their gods, Norse worshiping their gods.
Yeah, the
Greeks worshiping their gods.
I don't know the timetables.
Yeah, I mean, and the Greeks and the Romans actually worshipped the same gods and had two different sets of names.
Right.
You know, one based on the planets and one based on I don't know what. So you know, they're just the name of the gods. If you want to take your pantheons like that and go, well, yeah, like they would have a they would have to interact in a certain way, and would they be at war? Like, Christianity was kind of militant, and like conversion by the sword was kind of like, they're like one of the most horrible religions for that. Is conversion by the sword, where I feel like other, others not so much. They just worship their gods and did their thing.
Right.
But if you have a religion that's in there and is imposing their religion on others, that would absolutely have an effect in your campaigns, and maybe, since this is a fantasy world, that could very well be a divine edict. So it could be, like maybe you have a monotheistic religion where that deity is like, no, everyone must worship me, or you will all die and burn in hell horribly, and you should go out there and implement that by the sword if necessary. So you could literally take the different pantheons and religions from our world and convert it right into your game, and it would make for a lot of dynamic and interesting adventures and storylines, political intrigue, and like if you have this one religion that's really hell bent on dominating everybody else, to the other pantheons go, man, this is a problem. Maybe we should team up and do something about this.
Right.
So these are definitely some things for you to take into consideration in your game. So, as to your question, are they at war? Do they get along? It could be either. They might not. They may not even care.
What do you feel is going to be more useful, interesting, or enjoyable for your players and yourself to run? If you feel being at war is going to be more fun, go with it. If you feel that not, don't.
I don't know. Did you ever read the Domestika trilogy?
I did not.
Forgotten Realms?
No.
Okay, so it was very conquistador like in the way it's written. And it literally had like the two religions and pantheons butting up against each other.
Oh, nice.
And to the point of like there's it's been like 20 years or more since I've read these books, but one of the priests, one of the clerics, I believe, of Helm, is actually being sacrificed to this other god, and so like there's this like struggle that goes on as as the priest is trying to rip out the heart of the other priest.
Wow.
And he's got him on the sacrificial slab and all that, and it just creates this like dynamic, which is kind of interesting, and that was in Forgotten Realms as well.
Nice.
So there's definitely tons of ways you can go with it, and some of them could be warlike and violent, and some of them don't have to be.
Right.
It's whatever fits your game and what you need.
So what do you guys think? Do you have any comments for DM Sagittarius? How do you want to weigh in on this? Put your thoughts down below. While you're at it, like, share, even subscribe.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.